Hello learners, I am Parikshit Saikia and welcome to another very exciting session on Unacademy CAT-alyst. In today's session, we are going to talk about the eligibility, the exam pattern, including the most important part. We will look at the cutoffs of the last few years, right? And then accordingly try to decipher the pattern, how students perform depending on a change in pattern by looking at the cutoffs. That's what will be the agenda for the next 15-20 minutes of this session. Make sure you watch this entire video to get all this info without missing any important details. Let's get started. Okay, so this is me, your educator on the platform with the highest live class rating thanks to my learners. A lot of happenings on Unacademy in the next few days. A lot of new batches are starting. The 12th of May, a weekday batch. The 15th of May, a weekend batch. And then on the 19th of May, we have a weekday evening batch starting. Now, if you are interested to enroll to any of these batches, remember you got to have the Plus subscription. And for that, you need to enroll to Unacademy Plus or Unacademy Iconic using the code ParikshitLive. Remember, if you use the code ParikshitLive, you will get 10% discount on the subscription fee. And B, this is the only code which will give you free mentorship. I repeat, free mentorship from my side. And mentorship is going beyond your class hours to help you with any doubts, clarify any doubts that you might have, help you prepare your strategies and a lot more as we cover the CAT journey together. Let's get started with this session. Okay. Yes, so let's talk about this part, the details, right? So what I'm going to start with is the CAT pattern, and we'll look at these tables that you see on your screen, right? We'll try to make sense of these tables, okay? Now let's look at the CAT pattern. I will say the expected CAT pattern for 2021 and 2022. Okay, now first let's look at the last year papers. CAT 2020, okay? CAT 2020. CAT 2020, remember, was of 2 hours. So when I say 2 hours, obviously it would mean 40 minutes per section. 40 minutes per section. How many sections we have? We have got 3 sections. So 40 minutes per section. Okay? Now let's look at the VRC section. Now what do you see on your screen? Are the expected cutoffs, different marks and these are your marks, right? What you see here are all your marks. These are all your marks that you see, okay? Okay. Now let's look at VRC. VRC in CAT 2020, the pattern was it had 26 questions. 26 questions. What about DILR? 24 questions. Okay? QA had 26 questions. Now, out of these 26 questions, remember, 1 correct. So, what happens if you get 1 correct? So, correct. So, let's write down here. So, I hope you know the marking pattern. The marking pattern is, if you get a question correct, right, you get +3. And if you get a question wrong, it will be -1. If you leave a question unanswered, you don't get any marks. Right? There is no marks for that. Okay. Now, let's look at the numbers. Let's try to analyze it. Okay. VRC 26 questions. Out of the 26 questions, anyone who got 38 marks ended up with a 99 percentile. 38 marks. So divide it. Remember, 1 question, 3 marks. So 38 divided by 3, can I say approximately 13 questions? Approximately 13 questions correct in VRC would have fetched you a 99 percentile. And when I say 13 questions, remember, it's just 50% of the total that you would have attempted, that you need to attempt. Similarly, DILR, 24 questions, someone who gets a 32 marks ends up with a 99 percentile. So 32 divided by 3, approximately 11 questions. Correct? Yeah, people are wishing me on good morning on YouTube. Good morning to all of you who are joining me live on YouTube. And then QA, 26 questions, remember 47 marks. So when I say 47 marks, again you divide it by 3, approximately 16 questions. So look at it. Look at the number of questions. I would say this is where you are interested in, right? Approximately 50 to 55% question. If you are able to solve correctly per section, you end up with a 99 percentile. You end up with a 99 percentile in your CAT. And this is one format which you can definitely expect in 2021 this year, or for that matter 2022. Why I say this pattern? This was a reduced pattern of 2 hours. Why 2 hours? Because remember, we are living in the world of pandemic, and where there is a lot of social distancing measures in place and there are infrastructure limitations. The higher the social distancing measures, the more stringent they are, right? Remember, the number of computers in one room, they're going to be less. So the infrastructure required increases, because of which the time limit might decrease. And this pattern you might very well expect in CAT 2021 as well. 2 hours total duration of the paper. 2 hour total duration of the paper. But let's look at the other possibility. What could be the other possibility? Let's look at CAT 2019 paper. 2019 paper, okay? 2019 paper of the CAT was of 3 hours. Was of 3 hours. And when I say 3 hours, basically it would mean 60 minutes per section. 60 minutes per section. Correct? Okay. Now look at it. When you have 60 minutes per question, minutes per section, obviously the number of questions would have increased. So the pattern here would be, there would be 34 questions in VARC, 34 questions in VARC, then 32 questions in DILR, and Quants, 34 questions. Quants, 34 questions. Correct? So let's look at this particular column. This particular column is where you need to be interested in. Okay? 65 marks. Think about it. Again, number of marks per section question remains the same. So 65 marks. Divide by 3, approximately how many? 22 questions. Someone would have got it correct, would end up with a 99 percentile. Similarly, in DILR, out of 32 questions, remember 48 marks. So you divide by 3, 16 questions, which is exactly 50%. And then in VARC, 34 questions, so 55 marks, which is approximately how much? 18 questions, just over 50%. Just over 50%. Right. So these are the two expected patterns in the CAT. Expected pattern. It would be one of the two in your CAT 2021 as well. Either 2 hours or either 3 hours. When do you get to know? You will get to know this in August when the notification for the CAT is released. The second part of this video would be, okay, is there any eligibility criteria to write the CAT? Eligibility criteria, okay? That's what I'm going to talk about next, the eligibility criteria for the CAT, okay? Now, what is the eligibility criteria for the CAT? Now, most of you might not be knowing that the CAT has got some eligibility criteria, but let's talk about this eligibility criteria in more details. Eligibility, let's write it down, eligibility criteria. Okay. Now, what are the eligibility criteria? Let's talk about graduation qualifications. First is you need to be a graduate. You need to be a graduate. When do you need to be a graduate? It's not that you need to be a graduate on the day you write the CAT. No, you need to be a graduate by the time you enter the IIMs, by the time you enter your M.B.A. Remember, M.B.A, or for that matter PGDM, is a postgraduate course, postgraduate. So obviously you need to be a graduate by the time you enter the college. Meaning, for those of you who are writing the CAT 2021, you need to be a graduate at least by 2022 August, July, August. 2022 July, August, you need to be a graduate. Remember, again I repeat, you need not be a graduate on the day you write the CAT, but definitely on the day you take admission. And second is, you need to have minimum 50% marks, 50% marks, okay, in your graduation, And this is for open category like the general category, right? Otherwise, if it is a reserve category like the SC/ST, then minimum 45% marks is required to write the CAT. I am talking about the CAT only. If it's a reserve category, So if we have 44.9, is it 45? No, it's not 45. You will not be eligible. Right? So make sure that you have got the minimum 50% or 45% marks as required to write the CAT. Now let's focus more on our previous slide. Let's focus more on our previous slide where we actually talked about the different cutoffs, okay? Now, if you look at this table, right? Now, if you ask me which are the most important sections, okay, most important sections when it comes to VRC, DILR and Quants for the past 2 years, okay? So I will just rub this and make the table a bit more clean, okay? So if you look at the QA section, right, the most important part in QA for you to do well is undoubtedly arithmetic and algebra. These are the two sections which you got to do very, very, very well. How many chapters are we looking at in arithmetic and algebra? Around 14 to 15 chapters. Can I quickly list them down? Yes. Arithmetic, most important chapters: percentage, profit, loss and discount, ratio, proportion, variation, time, speed and distance, time and work, simple interest, compound interest, average, mixtures and allegations. These 7 chapters form the core of your QA. Trust me, arithmetic and algebra together will constitute around 65 to 70% of your paper. 65 to 70% weightage. So total questions, whatever the total questions, out of which 65 to 70% will be arithmetic and algebra. What is there in algebra? Algebra, you have linear equations, quadratic equations and higher order. Higher order would be cubic, 4th power. Then you have got maxima, minima. You have got functions. You have got graphs. You have got logarithms. You have got AP, GP and all, right? So remember that these forms the core, and unless you complete arithmetic and algebra, don't go to the next part of Quants. Focus on these 2 chapters very nicely. You finish them and then start the next part of your preparation, right? Functions, exactly, functions as well. Correct? Let's talk about DILR. Now, DILR, if some of you have seen my previous videos, you know that this part has undergone a massive change in the last 3-4 years. Massive, huge change in the last 3-4 years. So DI and LR, predominantly LR will be around 65 to 70%. So I will say LR 65%, most important. And then you will have DI around 30 to 35%. DI will be around 30 to 35%. But here you might fall in a trap, especially if you are solving the past year papers. Remember, CAT from 2016 onwards, the DILR section has completely changed. So all questions which you see in the CAT paper pre-2016 were very easy. They were direct questions, like you get a bar diagram, you get a pie chart and straight questions. What is the percentage growth? But now these questions are very rarely asked. And even if they're asked, they will just ask you probably one question. So it has undergone a massive change, and for that you make sure that you get accustomed to the latest pattern of DILR, which are the last 3-4 year papers. So the best way is probably look at the CAT 2019 paper, CAT 2020 paper, that gives you a fair idea of what would you expect this particular coming year, right? So please make sure that you look at 2018, 19 and 20 papers to judge the quality of questions. Don't look at 2007, 5 or 6 questions, because that would give you a wrong impression of the DILR section. Please take a note of that. And the next part is VARC. Now VARC, trust me, if you got to do well in VARC, you got to do well in your reading passages, reading comprehension passages, as we call RCs. Very, very, very important. Now, when you are doing RCs, right, what you need to learn are 2 or 3 things. First, get exposed to different types of passages. What do I mean by that? As an example, let's say sports passage. Most of you, if you get a sports passage, okay, let's say a passage on cricket, you will be able to understand that passage really, really well. And probably when you go back and analyze, you'll see that most of the questions you have got it correct. But if you get a passage on, let's say, economics, are you able to understand the passage, and are you getting the questions correct? Very important. what is important here is the theme. Are you exposing yourself to different types of passages, different genres, as they say, right? It could be literature, it could be philosophy, it could be economy, it could be world affairs, it could be general awareness, it could be Indian politics, could be just anything. But are you exposing yourself to all types of patterns, right? All types. Remember, if you are familiar with the content, if you understand economics, you will understand the passage. So spend some time, especially on areas which you are not comfortable with. It could be economics, it could be philosophy, and so on, right? So because the best example would be most guys probably, if you get a sports passage, you are definitely going to get it right. So that's why I say important to have familiarity on the topic. Second part is, are you able to read quickly? How fast do you read, and how fast are you able to comprehend the central theme of the passage? That again is something which will develop only through daily practice, only through daily practice. And the third and the most important point is, there are some questions in RCs which you can predict. Are you comfortable with those? As an example, what is the tone of the passage? What is the tone of the author? Tone of the author, right? What is the tone of the author? Now, do you understand what do you mean by tone? Are you clear with the different tones that appear in a RC passage? If yes, probably this is one question many a times you will see that you are getting it right. You are getting it correct. So look for patterns, look for questions which repeat many a times, right? And for such questions, the background knowledge is very important. Make sure that you have that background knowledge, correct? So these are some points which are very important. Now remember, we are 7 months away from the CAT today. 7 months away from the CAT, and it is at this stage your preparation becomes the most critical point. The most critical point. How well are you prepared? Do you know all the shortcuts? Have you mastered every shortcut and every topic? That's where Unacademy comes into the picture. Remember, we in Unacademy have come out with a bumper offer. We call it the bumper offer because this is probably the first time we have come out with such an offer. What is an offer? You subscribe to Unacademy for 6 months, just for 6 months, and we in Unacademy is going to extend your subscription till the CAT, till your CAT, right? You go for a 6-month subscription and we will extend it till your CAT 2021. But for that to happen, please make sure that you need to use this code Parikshit Live. You need to use the code Parikshit Live, which is there on your screen. If you use that code, you get 3 benefits, 3 massive benefits. A, you will get 10% discount on the subscription fee. B, if you use this code, you know what? You subscribe for 6 months and we are going to extend it till the CAT. Second benefit. And the third benefit is, this is the only and only code which will give you free mentorship even on Unacademy Plus. Remember, mentorship is available only if you go for an iconic subscription. But if you use the code Parikshit Live and subscribe to Unacademy Plus, you get free mentorship from my side. And when I say free mentorship, mentorship is all about going beyond your class hours, right? Going beyond your class hours to help you with doubts anytime that you have doubts, or probably for that matter, help you prepare a timetable, help you prepare a strategy, and be with you, hold your hand probably as a mentor till we make sure that you crack the CAT, right? So I think that's it for today. Just a quick announcement that it is not sufficient to just be preparing, right? You got to test yourself where you stand. And for that point, and for that matter, right, you enroll with the free scholarship test. It's a free test. At least you will get to know how well is your preparation going, and do you need to make any changes in the way you prepare. So test yourself, enroll for the weekly scholarship test. This is a free test. You can use the code Parikshit Live to get free access, to the scholarship test. And anytime you have a doubt, you can also use ask a doubt feature on Unacademy. Okay, I think that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the class, and I'm going to see you tomorrow 10:30 a.m. for another exciting session of mine. Till then, stay safe and take care.